What is up, guys? Welcome to the eSports Report. Chris Puckett here. It is the first day after a long weekend in Columbus, Ohio. Of course, we're coming back from the MLG Advanced Warfare Columbus Open. We had 144 teams duking it out, not only in a giant open bracket, but we saw pool play back for the first time in quite a while. And, of course, one of the most epic championship brackets of all times. Before we get the show started, just want to throw out a random fact. Winners bracket round 1 of the champ bracket, only 8 teams in it. All of those matches went to game 5. The talent, so close right now. All of these teams so even. So far, Advanced Warfare may be the greatest thing we've ever seen in Call of Duty. And I'm only expecting it to get better. But if you missed any of the action, let's start it off with where you might have missed some of the best matches, and that is pool play. Pool play, of course, kicked off with our Friday night matches, and we got some of the results here to share with you. Let's start with Pool A. Coming into the tournament, everyone thought Optic Gaming would dominate this pool. Prophecy, quite unproven squad. They looked pretty solid online, but they picked up Fears last minute instead of Moch. Team Caliber, a team that didn't look very incredible online, shocked us all, though, with a Friday night beating of Optic Gaming. From there, TK looked set to win the pool, but it was Prophecy who came back, beat TK, forced a 3-way tiebreaker, and had the best record, so they ended up coming out on top. Noble eSports was the team that came through the open bracket, and although they finished 1-3, don't let that record fool you. They came in, their first matchup was on the main stage. I had them play Optic Gaming, and that was one of the best series we saw all weekend, taking Optic to game number 5. Killing Miracles back to their old selves, looking very solid in this new title, as well as Spacely. I was very impressed with the way he played this weekend. So even though Noble eSports did not have the best placing at this tournament, you have to keep in mind, they grinded out through that long open bracket. They took our second place team overall the distance to game number 5, and they will definitely be a team to look out for coming into Season 1. Over in Pool B, this was our pool of death coming into the tournament, but to be honest, it wasn't as hard for Justice as a lot of people thought it would be. Justice ended up winning the pool as I predicted. They took out Optic Nation. Then they faced off against Automatic Reload and Rise Nation. The Rise team, a little bit underperforming in a lot of people's minds, and Automatic Reload was kind of the surprise squad after beating Rise in a game number 5. They looked very solid, beat Orbit later on. Their losses coming from Justice and Optic Nation kept them out of the winner's bracket. However, Automatic Reload put themselves pretty deep in the loser's bracket, and that was important for their Season 1 attendance. We'll get to that a little bit later, but keeping it rolling into Pool C. This actually became the pool of death, in my opinion. After seeing Vitality come through the open bracket, they were one of the most dangerous teams. Unfortunately, their record didn't show it. On the main stage, they looked very good, went to a game 5. In the open bracket, they seemed to fall apart, though. CLS eSports was able to get a win over them, as well as Stunner Gaming. For Denial and FaZe, though, Denial set the tone with a big victory, Game 5, Friday night, over FaZe. And FaZe, you know, a lot of people after watching that match thought, yeah, Denial's definitely going to be the favorite. FaZe later in the tournament did get some revenge, but Denial coming into things, got to give them a lot of props. Attach, looking like a monster. Saints, he was just absolutely ferocious, dropping 19 kills in under, I felt like it was a minute 45 at one point in one of the hard points. Replays was getting the job done in the respawns as well. The whole squad slaying and playing very well, at least through the pools. Finally, in Pool D, one of the teams to look at here, well, Strictly Business. Coming into Saturday night, we thought that Envy and Aware Gaming had it locked up. Aware taking out Envy Friday night was on top of the pool. Envy made a nice Saturday run, causing all kinds of upsets, but it was Strictly Business come mid-Saturday that really surprised us all. When they faced off on the main stage against Aware, it was SB coming out of that one. If it went to Game 5, Aware had a chance of going into the winner's bracket. But SB got it done in 4 games, took the #1 spot, passing Envy and becoming the top-seeded team in Pool D going into the winner's bracket. The big surprise for a lot of people here, though, was DT Esports, a squad no one talked about, very few people even knew about coming into the tournament. This was a surprise squad that performed extremely well throughout the open bracket. They caused some major upsets, And then, of course, they beat Carnage. Carnage, a team, a lot of hype around Huke. He finished on top of the leaderboards from the games we had on broadcast. He was truly a stellar player, but DT Esports as a squad got the victory there in a very close series. Pool D, though, a lot stronger than a lot of us predicted, and I got a lot of hate for not having Envy on the main stage. But when you compared the caliber of the seeds playing against each other compared to what was happening in Pool D, no one could have predicted how close those matches were. Envy strictly business, especially one of the best matches of the tournament going to Game 5. JCap clutching it up for Envy throughout this week. I'm going to be showing the best of the best games from this tournament. Be on the lookout for that. So that's a quick look at your pools. Remember, only the top 2 teams, though, advance from pool play into the winner's bracket. So here's a peek at what went down in that 8-team winners. Of course, at the top, Prophecy. After shocking everyone in Pool A, topping Optic Gaming, they matched up against the number 2 seed from Pool C. That was Optic Nation. FaZe, they got through with the number 2 seed going up against the number 1 seed from Pool D, Strictly Business. And Denial, with the top seed, faced off against Envy with the number 2 seed. Finally, Optic Gaming, the number 2 seed, versus Justice. The crazy thing here, all of those matches, all 4 of them, go into Game 5. The final S&D for all 4 matchups. Denial looking so good against Envy. Clayster comes alive, makes it impossible for them to win. At the bottom, Optic Gaming and Justice. Everyone thought Justice, after 4-0ing their pool, would make quick work of Optic, who looked a little sloppy on Friday and early Saturday. But it was Optic clutching up in that Game 5. Strictly Business, a team known for the way they were playing S&D throughout this tournament, shocked by FaZe. And then finally, at the top, Prophecy, Optic Nation. None of our casters had Prophecy in our top 6. They earned that with a big Game 5 victory over TP Karma and crew. So a big win for Prof as they advanced into the semifinals. There, though, they shocked FaZe come Sunday morning. We'll get to that match a little bit later. And, of course, Envy going... Really, Ben? You're just gonna do that? And then Envy going up against Optic Gaming. We saw Optic turning on the Jets, becoming the Optic we expected to see on Sunday, and crushing that one 3-0. But now, headed to the losers bracket. Let's take a peek at what went down here. Now, we see round 3. That's really where the action kicked off. In fact, let's drop it all the way back. In losers round 1, Icons was one of those teams to come out of the open bracket. They beat eSport, a squad that was preceded in pool play. STDX eSport having one of the worst tournaments we've seen possible. 0-4 in the pool, then loses round 1. They get beat in 5 games. Carnage going up against Illmatic, the number 1 seed from the open bracket. Carnage was able to beat them. But more importantly, it was Rise that they defeated in Game 5 in the second round. Carnage eventually eliminated by Team Caliber in round 3, but a pretty solid showing on Sunday. Coming into round 1, once again, we saw Vitality, a team that looked very good at the start when they were on the main stage. They absolutely fell apart in the open bracket matches, going up against XGN, who finished them in losers round 1, of champ. And then Fear versus Orbit. Fear getting upset early on, did not earn a spot in pool play, but they get a little bit of revenge, 3-0ing Orbit to move on. But the big shocker in round 2, outside of Rise Nation losing to Carnage for me, was DT Esports beating Fear 3-2. Not only that, DT Esports went on to beat Stunner Gaming 3-2. Back-to-back clutches there in the losers bracket. Noble Esports, of course, getting eliminated by Automatic Reload. That was a big surprise to people as Burns and crew knocked out Killa. And then TK looking very strong. They turned it up before facing off against SB. At the top, Icons getting pretty far here. Not the most difficult of a bracket for them, but you got to give them props. They took out eSport. They took out CLS Esports. Then they got beat by Aware Gaming. And Aware Gaming going up against Optic Nation put themselves in a very tricky spot. Losing that Game 5 meant that Aware Gaming would be in a 4-way tie with Automatic Reload trying to fight for the final Season 1 spots. We also saw TK beating Strictly Business, who would be fighting for one of those top spots in Season 1. And DT Esports, after losing to Justice, was fighting for one of those top spots. With all that said, guys, we're going to throw it to a quick commercial break. I'm going to get Benson here on headset, and we're going to talk through how we had 4 spots up for grabs in Season 1, who grabbed them, and how they got it.